Hello! So in today's video I have this month's Abominable book club box to unbox, and I have a confession to make. In this video I have actually already seen the contents because this month it arrived in just this brown box, not its usual box, which obviously has its logoing and everything on it. So I opened it not realising what it was, so I've already seen the contents. But I haven't unwrapped the second-hand book, so I don't know what that is, and I would still like to show you guys what I got because, as always, it's a great box. I unbox these every month and I really enjoy them. It is a horror book subscription box where you get a couple of new releases and then one second-hand book. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and show you the contents. If you can hear noise in the background, my son is home today. Unfortunately, his preschool class has been closed for a few days, well, a week really, due to COVID. So you may hear some background noises watching videos of himself on the phone. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started and show you guys what I got. So, as always, you get the little spoiler card here, so that's their logoing there. Abominable Book Club, and this is February 2020 full guts, which means I get the books plus extras. We have their bookmark, which comes in every box and has a story on the back there, a little short story. The snack we got this month, I'm really looking forward to. It's a real chunky bar of chocolate. Look at that. And I've seen this packaging before. I think they sell it in Tesco. But yeah, it always reminds me of like Willy Wonka, this design, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory kind of bar. And it's a Tony's chocolate bar, and it's white. It says it's, let's see, white raspberry popping candy. So really looking forward to trying this. Look at how cool this packaging is. There's a little hunter in the background. But yes, I'm looking forward to trying some of this. And it says together we make chocolate 100% slave free, so that's really good. So it's like a nice ethical company, yeah, fair trade here on the back. So yeah, looking forward to trying some of this. So, awesome. I'm going to put that up there so little hands can't get it. We then have another... You can have some in a minute, sweetheart. We then have this other bookmark, and it is... her name's Samara, coming out of the... it's a bit grainy, so it's hard to tell, but that's Samara coming out of the well there. So that's from the ring. And then it has little like phone icons down here, and then just the Abominable Book Club on the back. So we have that one. We then have the drinks pouch. So this is where, I was going to say pants then. Drinks pouch, where we get a selection of different drinks. And I haven't seen what we have in this one yet, so let's open it up. We have a cappuccino. Cappuccino, we like that one. We then have one of these Lions coffee bags. My husband really likes these. It just covered my face. So these are really tasty. You can actually take that to work. We then have some off black teas, and this is Sweet Bliss, red berries and cinnamon. And normally we often get fruit teas of these, and I don't often like fruit teas, but this brand, I just really like them. I also like the fact that it has the caffeine level on the back. So it says the temperature and what's in it, how long you should brew. So I like that. We have forest fruits and ginger. So this is the one that I've had. Yep, there's Hunter. So this is the one I've had a few times, and I've really liked it. It has 0 caffeine, this one, so it's just a fruit tea. And yeah, I was never a fan of fruit teas before, but I'm kind of getting into this one. It has hibiscus, apple pieces, ginger, rosehip, blackcurrant leaves and raspberry pieces. So yeah, that's a really nice one. We then have our hot chocolate, which is the Cadbury hot chocolate. Hot chocolate, yeah, and this is my favourite hot chocolate that we get. Love a good Cadbury hot chocolate. And then one of the other goodies is this pin, and I really like these pins, and we get them quite frequently in the box, and I really like this one. It's like,
ooh, I like chocolate.
Yeah, this is like, it has not like an x-ray because you can see the brain and everything, but yeah, like an anatomical head pin, and it has its eyeball and everything, so that's really cool. I like that pin a lot. It will be going on my bag where I have my collection of pins from this company. So then we get on to the books. Like I said, I've seen 2 of them, and then one I don't know what it is because I haven't unwrapped it, and that's the second-hand one we get in each box.
There we are.
There's Hunter. You say hello.
Hi.
Little pickle.
Oh, I see you over there.
I see you over there. So the 2 books we have are, we have Demon by Matt Wazowski. That's the first book, which I'm really pleased about. And then the next one is All the White Spaces by Ali Wilkins.
Hot chocolate.
And they actually look like 2 new releases, so this is really cool. And I read the back of both of them, and they both sound really interesting. This one I'm excited about because, yes?
It has the hot chocolate.
It is a hot chocolate, yeah. This one I'm excited about because we've had a story by this author before in the same series. And this is the 6 stories series. And the one we had previously was called Deity, and I read and reviewed that on this channel. And it was a really interesting book. So it says an unspeakable crime, a cursed village, 6 witnesses, 6 stories, which one is true? So basically it's this guy, I think his name is called Scott. Yeah, he's a journalist. Yeah, he's an online journalist called Scott King, and he has a podcast. And he picks up these...
yourself.
You can see yourself.
Oh!
He picks up these crimes.
With the gun.
And hang on a minute, it's going to be easier if I distract him for a second. So, be back in a minute. Okay, he's now distracted in the lounge. So, as I was saying, we've had one by this author before, and I really enjoyed the book. So, like I was saying, he is a online journalist who has a podcast. So, as you're reading this book, you're actually reading it in the form of the story unveils itself in like interviews, and you read the podcast as he's interviewing the people in whatever crime he's investigating. And yeah, the story in the first one's really interesting. Like I said, if you want to know what Deity was about, I have a review up on this channel. But yeah, you kind of read it in almost like news clippings and news articles as the story pieces bit by bit together. So in this one, it's set, well, it says here the crime happened in 1995 in a picture-perfect village. In a site, the site was one of the most heinous crimes imaginable. A case that shocked the world. A 12-year-old Sydney was savagely murdered by 2 boys his own age. No reason, but everything given for this terrible crime was a demonic duo who killed him were imprisoned until their release in 2002, when they were given new identities and lifetime anonymity, or however you say that. I can't pronounce that word. Anonymity? You know what I mean, like new identities. And this one sounds interesting because there was a case in the UK, and I cannot remember the names of the people involved, but there was a case in the UK years ago about a young boy who was tragically murdered by 2 other boys. Same thing happened, the boys were convicted. I think they're out of prison now, obviously they're men now, and there was a real thing about trying to keep their identity hidden because a lot of people felt like they didn't deserve that because they murdered this little boy in such a horrible way. And it was quite a big case here in the UK. Like I said, I cannot remember the names, but it was a horrible crime. And yeah, it was kind of, and obviously the boys did do this crime. There was you know, footage and stuff. But in this case, it'll be interesting to see how this story unveils and how closely it is linked to that story. I'm guessing he must have been inspired by that story because it sounds very, very similar. A young boy, 12 years of old. I think the boy was younger than 12 who was murdered in the real life case. Yeah, 12 years old, murdered by 2 boys. I think it's like hinting that there may have been like some demonic possession or something, or were they just evil people, or was there something else at play? So yeah, this will be really, really interesting. It says as episodes of Six Stories podcast begins to air, King himself becomes a target of media scrutiny. So yeah, obviously the people are going to be looking at the interview in this, like, why are you covering this case, and like maybe trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. It says Mark Wazowski is boldly carving his own unique dark niche of fiction. So yeah, I agree. I really enjoyed the way Deity was written. It could be a little bit repetitive at times because obviously as you're reading the interviews and you're reading Scott's perspective on things, it kind of recaps on a lot of stuff. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting read. So I'm looking forward to that one. Obviously with children involved, it's going to be quite a dark story. I mean, children were involved in the first one. But yeah, and then we have, yeah, like I said, all the white spaces. And we actually got a signed book plate here, which we can stick in here, signed by the author. So that's cool. And this author I haven't read from before, and this is In the Darkness of the Polar Night, Something Terrible is Awaiting. So this one, again, it sounds really interesting. It's set around the First World War, which is going to be different for me. I don't normally read books around the time zones of the war or set around the war. But it's about a man who stows away on a expedition trip to the Antarctic, and his name is Jonathan. And it says here on the back, he determined to find his rightful place in the world among men. And it says, on the ship, Jonathan may live as his true self, his true gender, and have an adventure he has always been denied. But it's not all smooth sailing. The war casts a long shadow over all of them. Grief, guilt, mistrust among the explorers. And then it says here, when disaster strikes in Antarctic frozen Weddell Sea, the men must take to the land. And it says, and overwinter somewhere which immediately seems both eerie and wrong. So it seems like, I don't know, they're on this ship in the Antarctic, and then they have to survive on the land. And I don't think I've ever read a book around the Antarctic, or just this kind of premise. It sounds really interesting, and it sounds yeah, like it's going to be a bit mysterious, a little bit spooky. I don't know if there's going to be some paranormals, or maybe, you know, as they're out in the Antarctic, maybe their minds start to slip a little bit. That could be interesting. And it says here, no one is coming to rescue them. The freezing dark in the polar night, where the aurora creeps across the sky. Something terrible has been waiting to lure them out into the deadly landscape. So this is going to be really interesting. There have also been a few, I remember there was, again, this case in I think it was the Antarctic, or they were going up Mount Everest or something, and there's a group of people, they were campers, who all mysteriously died, and nobody knows how they died. They think it kind of happened where the cold kind of got to their minds, and they went a little bit, they got disorientated, and they ended up all dying, and nobody really knows what they died of, or how they died, or, you know, why they ended up leaving their tents. And they were like, why did they leave their tents in the freezing night, you know, in below 0 temperatures? So I wonder if this is going to go along that vein. That could be really interesting. Plus it's set during the World War. Plus there seems to be some gender talk in this book, so as his true gender. So maybe he's transgender. I don't know. This could be really, really interesting. So I'm not sure which one to start first, to be honest, because like I said, I know I like this writing style, but I think the story is going to be a little bit difficult to read, just because of the subject matter, and because I am familiar with the case it does seem like it's centered around a true case that happened here in the UK. I believe this is set in the UK as well. I think the first one was set in Scotland mostly. But I like the writing style and I think his story is interesting. But the premise of this one just sounds really, really good. So yeah, both really interesting. So yeah, one's kind of set around demonic killings and a crime investigation, and this is like an adventure in the Antarctic where things go wrong. So 2 really interesting books there. So I'm going to open up this final one, which I don't know what it is. And let's have a look at what it is. Yeah, it's still pretty cold here in the UK at the moment, so I think I'm going to read the Antarctic one first. I think it's going to be fit the season a little bit better. I remember last February, this time last year, it was actually snowing in the UK. Oh, okay. The Regulators. And this is by Richard Bachman. This is a really cool cover. It's like this lizard eye on the front. Is it snake eye? With like a desert in the background. So I've not read anything by this author before, but that's a really cool cover. I like that. Look at the shiny writing there. So let's have a look and see what this is. So it's set in Ohio, a small friendly town where the Carver children bicker over sweets and an easy shop. And writer Johnny is the only resident who minds his own business. On a popular street, apart from the impending storm, it was just a normal summer's day. A frisbee flying, lawns being mowed, barbecues preparing for the paperboy, and the paperboy making his rounds. Obvious to the chrome red van idling up the hill, that marks the start of a surreal nightmare. Soon the residents will be caught up in a game of wills as the Regulators arrive in force to face a child whose powers of expression are being awakened, waiting for them. Whose powers of expression are being awakened, are just awakening and waiting for them. This sounds interesting. It says it's a new novel of terror in the desert. Okay. So this is really interesting. It doesn't really give away too much of what the story is. So yeah, that kind of leaves open to a lot of things. Is there a crime going to happen? Is there a child with supernatural powers? So this sounds really interesting as well. Let's have a little flick through. Oh, it is. I think it's written in journal entries, maybe. Just the way it's set out, and it's also got articles in there. Okay, so it looks like there's going to be some murders, because that's a news article saying about a family being slain there. So maybe it's like a mass murderer going around. So yeah, that sounds interesting too, and I love the cover. That's really cool. So yeah, 3 books that I'm interested on reading. These are the 3 we got this month, and yeah, really pleased with the book selection this month. I like the fact that in this book box we tend to get, if there's a popular author, we get several from this series. This is the second one we've had from 6 stories, and then we had another author, who else have they done repeat authors of? Gemma Amore. We've had a couple books by her which were interesting. And oh, I can't remember his name off the top of my head now, but the author who wrote House of 100 Whispers, which I really enjoyed. We got a second book by him, The Children God Forgot, which I have reviews of both of those books up on my channel. Really enjoyed them. So I like it when we get cool authors. We tend to get repeat books by them. So that's really awesome. 3 books I'm really interested in reading. We then got the teas, coffees, hot chocolate, and the pin badge. We got the signed, one of the books had a signed book plate, and then the bookmarks. So yeah, that was really interesting. Let me have a quick look at the spoiler card. So here on the spoiler card it says about the white spaces. Something deadly and mysterious stalks the members of an isolated polar expedition. So there is like something stalking them, whether it's going to be paranormal or a monster, we don't know. It says haunting and spellbinding historical horror novel by newcomer. So it's a new, I think this might be his first book, new author. And he says he kindly agreed to do a signed book plate. So yeah, that sounds really good. I think I am going to read that one first. And then yes, Demons by Matt Wazowski. And it says, yes, we're happy to include another story of 6 stories in this box. It says we literally couldn't help ourselves. The latest entry was a standalone series about a pseudo-journalistic investigation, written as a transcribed from a series-esque podcast. So yeah, you're reading the podcast, the different episodes of the podcast as he pieces together the crimes. And it says, really tickled the true crime bone many of us horror fans have. Also true crime, so it is based on true crime stories. So I'm thinking, was it something Bulger, the name of one of the boys? I can't remember if that was one of the killers or that was the boy's name. Jamie Bulger? I could be wrong. I'm sure if anyone watches this and they know what I'm talking about, then you'll know what I mean. And it says, Demon is another stunner, rife with tragedy, mystery, served cold with an undercurrent of demonic possessions and possibly supernatural evil. So yeah, and then it says the hand wrapped book. So that was the one that I just unwrapped. The bookmarks, oh yes, and the chocolate, that was the other thing we got, which I'm really excited for because this looks awesome. I'm sure my son's going to want some as well, and my husband, because the snacks, they've been really knocking out really good snacks in this box recently. The last snack we had was really tasty, and the chocolate we get in this box is just, I've never been disappointed by the chocolate we get. So it's a nice thick chunky bar. So yeah, I'm looking forward to diving into that. So that's everything we have in this month's box. Like I said, if you enjoyed it, then give me a like and maybe drop me a comment down below. Subscribe if you'd like to see more unboxings from this box. I do them every single month, and then I read the books and review the books on this channel. So if you'd like to see reviews of these books I just unbox, then make sure you subscribe to my channel so you get notifications. I have loads of book reviews coming up recently that I have filmed. I was going to try and post them before this video, but I think I'm going to put this video up first because obviously this one's a little bit more time sensitive, because this box has just been released, so I want to get this video up now. But I have like 3 haunted house book reviews coming up, and yeah, lots more that I have coming up. I also have a book unhaul coming up, and I'm going to start filming some reading vlogs probably next week as well. So yeah, I have lots of content to come, and yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and as always, thank you for watching. Until next time, bye guys.